At John F. Kennedy International Airport, the sheer volume of people, a quick glance confirming they weren't native New Yorkers, created a bustling chaos that made it hard to tell if this was America or some international crossroads. The heart of the airport teemed with travelers from every corner of the globe. Among them, a particular sight drew the eye: a significant number of foreign women. Rumor had it, fueled by sensationalist online articles, that women from countries with a shortage of eligible men were booking flights months in advance to come to the United States, seeking to marry American men. The heroine of our story today was here for that very reason, to vehemently oppose such a marriage. But after truly arriving in America, this young woman's perspective would shift a full 180 degrees. From being staunchly against marrying an American man, she would eventually put down roots in this country. Let's hear her story. Hello, my name is Katia Koleshko. I'm a 30-year-old bank manager from Minsk, Belarus. People often say I'm too pragmatic, too much of a realist, and they're not wrong. After my father passed away 10 years ago, I began taking care of my mother and my frail younger sister, Irina. I chose responsibility over dreams, security over adventure. Every decision I made was for my family, and the story I'm about to tell you is the one that changed my life completely. Please, listen to the end. Winter in Minsk always felt endless. One evening, finishing up a long day at the bank, I gazed out the window at the gently falling snow. A video call notification popped up on my computer screen. It was Irina. My sister's bright smile always brought me joy, but today, it seemed brighter than usual. "Katia, I have something important to tell you," Irina shouted through the screen, her voice buzzing with excitement. I took a sip of my coffee, smiled, and asked, "What is it that has you so thrilled? Did you get a promotion?" Irina on the screen fell silent for a moment, then took a deep breath. "I'm getting married," Michael proposed. In that second, the coffee mug slipped from my hand, spilling across my desk. I scrambled for tissues, wiping up the mess while doubting what I had just heard. "What? Married? You've only known each other for 8 months." Irina's expression was resolute. "I know it's been short, Katia, but Michael is the most sincere, gentlest person I've ever met. And his family, they treat me like their own daughter." My mind was a chaotic swirl of confusion. My sister had been in the United States as an exchange student for 3 years. When she graduated and decided to work and settle there, I accepted it. When I heard she had a boyfriend, I dismissed it as a young woman's fleeting romance. But marriage? This was far too fast. "Irina, isn't this too rushed? How well do you really know him? America, its culture is so different from ours." My sister's face changed. "Do you still see me as a child, Katia? Michael's family is wonderful. They genuinely respect me. They're even helping me perfect my English. He's more family-oriented, more responsible than many of the men back home." An image of my friend Masha flashed in my mind. Masha had married an Italian man through an international dating site 2 years ago. At first, it sounded like a fairy tale. Moving to Europe, a new life in a wealthy country, a beautiful dream. But 6 months after the wedding, she was a different person. Her husband was abusive, treating her like a beautiful trophy he'd acquired from Eastern Europe. Today, Masha suffers from severe depression and is still undergoing psychiatric treatment. "Irina, do you remember the story I told you about Masha? Do you remember how much pain she went through? International marriages can be riskier than you think." My sister sighed. "Keisha, not every international marriage is like Masha's. That was because the man was a bad person. Michael isn't like that. And here in America, so many Belarusian women are living happy lives." The unease in my heart grew. In Belarus, the number of men of marriageable age is significantly lower than that of women. Many men go abroad for work. Of those who remain, a not insignificant number struggle with alcoholism or unemployment. In this reality, women from Eastern Europe, like us, are often seen as commodities in the international marriage market. "Irina, please, just reconsider. Marriage is a life-altering decision. Are you absolutely certain Michael is who he seems to be? Can you really spend the rest of your life in America?" Tears welled in Irina's eyes. "I thought you would understand me. You've always supported me. Why are you trying to stand in the way of my happiness now?" The conversation intensified, our words growing sharper. I believed I was acting in my sister's best interest, but Irina felt I was trying to control her life. "Irina, I'm not trying to control you. I'm just worried. How many women have we seen go abroad for a better life, only to return broken? This is completely different, Katia. Michael isn't like that. Why won't you trust my judgment? After a heated argument, Irina hung up, in tears. I let out a heavy sigh, rubbing my temples. Was this harsh approach really the best way? My sister had always been my rock, the most precious thing I had to protect. That night, as I was preparing dinner at home, a scream came from my mother's room. I rushed in to find her clutching her chest, collapsed on the floor. A heart attack. The moment spent calling the ambulance and rushing to the hospital felt like the longest, most terrifying minutes of my life. Thankfully, her condition stabilized once we reached the hospital. Seeing my mother's pale face in the patient room broke my heart. For 10 years, since my father's death, Irina and I had been her entire world. I had given up my dream of attending university to work at the bank, working day and night to fund my sister's education. After the nurse left, leaving just the two of us, my mother spoke in a weak voice. "Katya, that argument you had." It startled me. I was shocked. "Mama, it's all my fault. I did this to you." She shook her head gently. "No, it's my fault. I've put too much of a burden on you, especially making you take on the role of a parent." Tears streamed down my cheeks. "Don't say that, Mama. I just did what I could for our family." Her pale hand gripped mine. "Katya, about Irina's marriage. I know why you're worried. But sometimes, it's better to see things with your own eyes, to judge for yourself." I pondered her words. Had my love and concern for my sister turned into a barrier to her happiness? I was making judgments based on phone calls about a country that felt a world away. Maybe I needed to go and see for myself. A light flickered in my mother's eyes. "Good. You've sacrificed so much for us. This time, for your sister's sake, and for your own, go and experience something new. See what it's really like." After 2 more days in the hospital, my mother's condition was stable enough to return home to recover. I applied for vacation leave from the bank. My colleague, Liza, agreed to look after my mother while I was away. It was the first time in 12 years I had been away from my family. The night before my flight to America, I sent Irina a short text. "Arriving at JFK, we'll talk about the wedding. I'm sorry." My sister replied instantly, her message transformed by happiness, but I was still on edge. My biggest fear was, what if my sister was being deceived? How could I help her? And if it was a genuinely happy relationship, how could I accept how narrow-minded I had been? As I boarded the plane, my heart was a mix of anxiety, a desire to protect my sister, and curiosity about a new world. Looking out the window, watching Minsk shrink below, I thought that perhaps this journey was meant to teach not only my sister, but me, something as well. After a 12-hour flight, I finally stepped into John F. Kennedy International Airport. Surrounded by unfamiliar English signs and a hurried throng of people, I took a deep breath. The real journey was just beginning. JFK was vaster than I'd imagined, and cleaner too. The long flight had left me exhausted, but the airport's orderly layout and efficient systems couldn't help but impress me. After presenting my passport at immigration, the officer asked a few simple questions in English. The whole process was surprisingly swift. "This is a different world," I mumbled to myself. I found my way to the AirTrain terminal. Irina had a major meeting today and couldn't pick me up herself. She had explained the route in detail and told me how to buy a Metro card, which she said could be used on all public transport. At first, I was skeptical. But as I rode the AirTrain and then the subway into Manhattan, the view outside the window shattered my preconceptions one by one. The city's skyline was a dense forest of skyscrapers, interspersed with the green expanse of Central Park and the Hudson River shimmering in the sunlight. Everything felt modern and sophisticated. When I reached Jamaica Station, the process of transferring to the subway surprised me again. All the signs, in addition to English, had translations in Spanish, Chinese, and other languages. Digital displays throughout the station showed the next train's arrival time in real time. In Minsk, this level of infrastructure was unimaginable. To get to the Midtown neighborhood where Irina lived, I boarded the E train. It was after rush hour, so the car was relatively empty, but there were still plenty of people, each quietly absorbed in their smartphones. The atmosphere, where everyone respected each other's personal space, felt both strange and comfortable. Just then, at the next stop, a staggering, middle-aged, drunk man got on and sat directly across from me. The reek of alcohol was overpowering. His glazed eyes locked onto mine. Suddenly, he started trying to talk to me in broken English. "Where are you from? Russia? Ukraine?" "Belarus," I answered curtly, trying to shut down the conversation. However, the man persisted, inching closer. Belarus, famous for beautiful women. You are beautiful too. Why you come to America? You have boyfriend? Fear washed over me. In a foreign country, I had no idea how to handle this. The other passengers seemed to notice, their faces showing discomfort, but no one intervened directly. I tried to move to another seat, but the man grabbed my arm. Where are you going? Let's talk. Have a drink? At that moment, from the other end of the car, a uniformed NYPD transit officer walked over briskly. Amazingly, I hadn't called for help, but he had sensed the situation. Sir, you're disturbing another passenger. Please return to your seat, the officer said in a firm but calm voice. The drunk man became more agitated, his voice rising. What? I'm just talking to my foreign friend here. As the situation escalated, the officer quickly reported it over his radio. To my astonishment, when we pulled into the next station, 2 more police officers were waiting on the platform. How is that possible? I thought in utter amazement. One of the platform officers calmly approached the drunk man, taking control of the situation. He was tall, impeccably dressed, with a deep voice. When the drunk man continued to resist, he handled him with a technique that was decisive without being aggressive. Sir, you've had too much to drink. We're going to help you get home. Please cooperate. As his partner escorted the drunk man away, the first officer, the one from the train, walked over to me. Are you okay, miss? Are you hurt? He asked in fluent English. I'm fine, thank you. Just surprised by how quickly you responded. He smiled and explained, there are cameras in every car. The central command center monitors them in real time. When a situation like this arises, we respond immediately. His name was Ethan. He asked where I was going and offered to help me get to my destination safely. At first, I wanted to refuse, but afraid of getting lost in the unfamiliar city, I accepted his offer. After we got off the subway, Ethan gave me a brief overview of American culture and New York etiquette. His calm voice and considerate demeanor gradually put me at ease. You're from Belarus, right? Minsk? Ethan asked. Yes, that's right, I replied, surprised. How did you know? He smiled. Actually, my best friend, Michael, is about to marry a girl from Belarus. He mentioned her hometown is Minsk. In that instant, I froze. Is her name Irina? Ethan's eyes widened. Yes, how do you know? Are you her sister? Michael said Irina's sister was arriving today. The coincidence left me speechless. Ethan was Michael's best friend, and Irina had planned to introduce me to both of them tonight. Was this fate or just a bizarre coincidence? Under Ethan's guidance, we arrived at Irina's apartment building. When my sister saw me, she ran and wrapped me in a tight embrace. After hearing the story of how I met Ethan, her expression was one of disbelief. Oh, Katia, what a way to meet him. I was planning a proper introduction. Her voice was filled with a mix of joy and astonishment. Shortly after, Michael arrived. He was even more handsome than I'd imagined, with a kind and decent air about him. He greeted me politely, and when we shook hands, his sincere smile unknowingly began to melt my defenses. Katia, it's so good to finally meet you. Irina talks about you all the time. My parents have invited everyone over for dinner tonight, if that's okay. I hesitated for a moment but eventually agreed. Since I was here, Michael's family was the main objective of my trip. Michael's family lived in a beautiful brownstone in Brooklyn. When the door opened, a wave of warmth and the delicious aroma of roasting food washed over me. Michael's mother treated me like her own daughter, and his father expressed genuine concern for my long journey. On the dining table was a spread of classic American comfort food, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and a massive salad. These were dishes I had only seen in movies, but as I tasted them, I was captivated by the rich, hearty flavors, especially the homemade apple pie his mother had made. The taste was incredible. During dinner, Michael's father spoke carefully. Katia, you must have come here with some concerns. We want you to know, we truly consider Irina part of our family. Michael is a responsible young man, and we hope you can trust him. Hearing this, I put down my fork and carefully observed their faces. What I saw wasn't pretense or affectation, but genuine sincerity. The fortress of doubt in my heart began to crumble, brick by brick. After dinner, we went for a walk in Central Park. Even though it was late, the park was still filled with people jogging, walking their dogs, or just talking. What struck me most was seeing women walking alone. In Belarus, a woman going out alone at this hour would be considered far too dangerous, I said. Michael nodded. New York isn't perfect, but in terms of safety, It's actually one of the safest big cities in the world, especially in Manhattan. Looking at the park's nightscape, glittering under the city sky, I felt even more conflicted. This place was completely different from what I had expected. Efficient public transport, clean streets, a safe environment. Most importantly, Michael and his family truly loved and cherished Arena. But a question still lingered in my heart. Was I ready to let my sister spend the rest of her life in this foreign country? Thinking of my mother back in Belarus, our home, and all the memories Arena and I shared, a pang of sadness hit me. On the way back to my hotel, Ethan was waiting for me. He was off duty now and walked with me, as naturally as an old friend. He was an easy conversationalist, and I felt comfortable with him. So, besides the first impression, "Is America what you expected?" he asked. "Much better than I expected," I answered honestly, "but I'm still not completely at ease." Ethan smiled with understanding. "Of course, this is about your family. If you'd like, I can show you around the city over the next few days, help you get to know New York a little better." As we said goodbye in the hotel lobby, I replayed the day's events in my mind. America was truly different from the world I knew. What would the future hold for me in Arena? At that moment, I couldn't possibly have imagined. After a week in New York, I slowly adapted to the rhythm of life here. Staying at Arena's apartment, I closely observed her daily routine. Every morning, my sister left for work full of energy and confidence. Hearing her speak fluent English on the phone with colleagues, I couldn't help but admire her. The shy, quiet sister I knew seemed to have vanished. Here, she had transformed into a whole new person. Katia. Ethan is taking us to see the Metropolitan Museum of Art and Grand Central Terminal today. He called yesterday to arrange it, Arena said during breakfast. Hearing Ethan's name, my heart gave an odd little flutter. Since the subway incident, he had visited us frequently, showing us different parts of the city. His sharp wit and thoughtful demeanor impressed me every time. As a police officer, he carried a heavy sense of responsibility, but he also had a gentle and humorous side. Ethan arrived right on time. I was already waiting. It was his day off, and he had swapped his crisp uniform for casual but smart clothes. I found myself studying him without realizing it. "Today, you'll get a taste of American history," Ethan said with a smile. The Metropolitan Museum of Art was a majestic building, a classical masterpiece standing proudly amidst the bustling modernity of Manhattan. Its grand stone facade and ornate details stood in stark contrast to the sleek skyscrapers surrounding it. Ethan eloquently explained the history of the museum and key moments in American history, pointing out priceless artifacts from the nation's past. His explanation wasn't just a tour guide script, it was filled with a deep love and understanding of his country's history. Listening to him, it struck me, how much did I really know about Belarusian history? Perhaps I had been too focused on the practical problems of life, overlooking the rich culture and history of my own country. For lunch, we savored classic New York deli sandwiches at a famous spot nearby. Amidst the comforting aroma of pastrami and rye, our conversation deepened. "Katia, what do you do back in Belarus?" Ethan asked. "I'm a manager at a bank. I oversee the personal loans department," I replied. "That's an important position. Do you enjoy it?" His question made me pause. Did I enjoy my work? I realized I had never even asked myself that. After my father's death, I had to find a job to support my family. It was born out of responsibility alone. I can't say I enjoy it. It's more something I have to do, I answered, honestly. Ethan's gaze softened. "And what did you dream of doing?" "I wanted to be a doctor." As I said the words, my voice trembled. Before my father passed away, I was preparing for medical school entrance exams, but reality didn't allow for it. In that moment, years of suppressed emotions welled up. I had never lived for my own dreams, always choosing family, always sacrificing for others. That was my entire life. On the bus heading towards Grand Central, Ethan shared his own story. He had wanted to be a writer, but on his family's advice, he became a police officer. Yet, he never stopped writing, never gave up his dream of publishing a novel. "Life doesn't always go as planned," he said, "but that doesn't mean we have to abandon our dreams entirely." His words resonated deeply with me. As we stood in the magnificent main concourse of Grand Central Terminal, I thought of my small apartment in Minsk. In that cramped, oppressive space, I lived the same day over and over. But in just 1 week in New York, I had experienced more than in the past 10 years. As evening approached, We went to the top of the rock observation deck. The view of the city under the setting sun was breathtaking. "What is that?" I asked, pointing to a crowd gathered near a specific viewpoint. "They call that the promise point. Couples write their names on small tags and attach them to the safety glass, symbolizing their eternal love," Ethan explained. I instinctively reached out and touched one of the cold metal tags. It carried someone's love and promise. I didn't know why, but it made me feel a little envious. In my life, there had never been time or energy to pursue love. Practical problems always came first. Emotions were a luxury. "When you go back to Belarus, what are your plans?" Ethan's question broke my train of thought. "When I go back," I started, then paused. Back to what? Back to the bank, back to those breathless, repetitive days. It seemed there was no other choice. I would have to continue living the same life. After descending from the observation deck, we sat in a nearby coffee shop. Ethan's expression turned serious. "Katia, to be honest, from the first moment I saw you, I was drawn to you." This unexpected confession made my heart race. Ethan continued, "I've heard from Irina how much you've sacrificed for your family, but I think, sometimes, we have to think about our own happiness too." I didn't know how to respond, so I just sat in silence. This kind of emotion, this situation, was all too new for me. Looking into his eyes, I could feel his sincerity. As I was trying to figure out what to say, my phone rang. It was Liza, the friend looking after my mother in Belarus. Her voice was trembling. "Katia, your mother's condition has worsened. She's been hospitalized." A chill ran down my spine. The news of my mother's relapse left my mind blank. The immediate thought was that I had to return home now. "I understand. I'm coming back right away." After hanging up, I looked at Ethan, completely bewildered, unable to speak. "What happened?" he asked with concern. "My mother." She collapsed. "She's in the hospital. It's serious." My voice shook. Ethan immediately stood up. He didn't push for an answer to his confession. "No matter what, I'll help you with everything. Let's go check on flights." On the way back to the hotel, Ethan stayed by my side the entire time. Between explaining the situation to Irina and booking my flight, he was a pillar of support. His calm demeanor and practical help allowed me to hold myself together. That night, as we said goodbye in the lobby, Ethan's expression was serious. "Whatever you decide, I will support you, and if you want to come back, I'll be here, waiting for you." Hearing that, tears welled in my eyes. Back in Belarus, I had never experienced this kind of feeling, someone who understood my situation, who offered unconditional support. It gave me a sense of comfort I had never known. Back in my room packing, I was overwhelmed by a storm of complex emotions. Worry for my mother, my feelings about Irina's marriage, and my budding feelings for Ethan were all tangled together. Looking out at the New York City skyline, I realized that in this short time, I had started to think about myself, about my own life. This experience was changing me. The next morning, Irina saw me off at the airport. At the departure gate, my sister hugged me tightly. "Katia, what do you think now? About me and Michael?" Irina asked cautiously. I thought for a moment, then answered sincerely. "At first, I was truly worried. But now, if you're happy, then I'm happy too. Michael seems like a good man." Tears streamed down Irina's face. Thank you so much." Just before I boarded, Ethan arrived at the airport. He was holding a small gift box. "This is a special blend of herbal tea for your mother. They say it's good for heart health," he said, a little shyly. In that moment, I was certain I had special feelings for this man, even though I didn't know if I would ever come back. If this was our final goodbye, one thing was clear. This short trip to America had changed my life forever. As the plane took off, I looked out the window, watching the New York skyline shrink into the distance. Awaiting me were crucial decisions: the responsibility of caring for my mother, accepting my sister's marriage, and perhaps, finally, gathering the courage to pursue my own happiness. The journey back to Belarus felt lighter than the one coming. Though I was worried about my mother's health, a bold new idea was taking root in the back of my mind. Maybe I could consider moving to America to live. This thought was initially faint, but as the plane neared Minsk, it grew clearer. The air in Minsk felt colder and heavier than in New York. After the long flight, I was back on my native soil. I rushed straight to the hospital. Seeing my mother's pale face in her room, my heart sank. Although she held my hand and gave me a weak smile, I could read a deeper exhaustion in her eyes. "Katia, you're back. How is Irina?" My mother's voice was barely a whisper. "She's fine, Mama. She's doing very well. You don't need to worry." I squeezed her hand. After speaking with her doctor, the situation became clear. My mother's heart function was continuing to decline. She needed specialized treatment that, the doctor admitted frankly, was limited by the Belarusian medical system. That night, I sat in a chair in her hospital room, watching my sleeping mother, and began to think. The week in New York played over and over in my head. My conversations with Ethan, the warmth of Michael's family, and all the possibilities I had seen. An idea struck me. Maybe this was a sign from fate. For my mother's treatment, and for me to start a new life, we should move to America. The next morning, my mother's condition had improved slightly, and the doctor cleared her to go home. Once we were back, I gathered my courage and carefully explained my idea to her. "Mama, I want to talk to you about America." I sat beside her on the bed. It's completely different from what I imagined. Their medical system is among the best in the world. And Irina's fiancé, Michael, he's a wonderful person. My mother listened quietly. I took a deep breath and got to the main point. "Considering your heart condition, I think getting treatment in America would be a better option. I think our whole family should move there." My mother's eyes widened in astonishment. "Katia, what are you saying? Our home, your job, everything is here." It was the reaction I expected, but this time, I was more determined. "I know, Mama, but sometimes we need to make a change. In America, you can get better care. I can apply for a job at an international financial institution. Most importantly, we can all be together with Irina." My mother was silent for a moment, looking out the window. Then she spoke softly. "Are you sure you're not just thinking of your sister?" I shook my head. "No. To be honest, it's for me too. In America, for the first time, I saw the possibility of a different life. I feel like it could be a place where I could be happy." Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ethan, asking about my mother's health. Attached was a link to a job posting at an international financial firm in New York. They were looking for professionals with experience in Eastern European markets. He said he could pass along my resume. This incredible timing felt like a nudge from destiny. I showed the message to my mother, explaining that I might have a new job opportunity. We could just try it. We could see how her treatment progressed. Over the next few days, I began to plan in earnest. With help from Ethan and Irina, I gathered information about the American medical system, visas for foreign residents, medical treatment plans for international patients, and long-term residency options. A week later, my mother's attitude had shifted. She started taking an interest in the brochures I collected. "This hospital, it's world-renowned for cardiac care," she murmured, looking at a pamphlet for Mount Sinai Hospital while sipping the herbal tea Ethan had given her. My mother and I talked late into the night. Her main concern wasn't just the fear of an unfamiliar environment, but the fear that I was once again sacrificing my own life for the family. "Katia, I don't want you to give up your life again because of me," I answered from the heart. "This time is different. This isn't giving up my life, it's choosing a new one, and maybe someone important to me is there too." A spark of understanding lit up my mother's eyes. "That police officer, isn't it, Ethan?" I blushed and nodded. My mother laughed, a happy, genuine laugh I hadn't heard in a long time. "Then go for it, my dear. If you are happy, then I am happy." Once the decision was made, things moved quickly. I submitted my resignation at the bank. The international firm Ethan had recommended was impressed with my resume. To my surprise, I was granted a remote interview. They saw my experience in the Belarusian and Eastern European markets as extremely valuable. On the day of the interview, I sat nervously, trying my best to express my understanding and enthusiasm for America in my less-than-perfect English. 2 weeks later, the good news arrived. I had been hired as the manager for the Eastern European business division of their New York branch. Before leaving for America with my mother, I spoke with Irina. My sister was so excited she burst into tears. "Katia, I can't believe we're going to live together again." A joyful smile spread across her face. "Yes," I replied, "and now I can actually help you plan your wedding." On the day of our flight, the sadness of leaving Minsk couldn't compare to the anticipation of starting anew. I held my mother's hand tightly, looking out the window, feeling that this decision would be the turning point of my life. When we arrived in New York, Irina, Michael, and Ethan were all waiting for us at the airport. The moment I saw Ethan again, My heart beat as fast as it did when we first met. His warm smile welcomed me back. My mother's treatment began immediately. A top cardiac specialist at New York Presbyterian Hospital took charge of her case. At first, the unfamiliar environment and language barrier were challenging, but the hospital's International Patient Support Center provided translation services, which helped immensely. Surprisingly, my mother adapted to life in New York faster than I did. In a park near the hospital, she made friends with other Russian-speaking seniors. They exercised together every morning. Her doctors were pleased with her progress. I, too, gradually settled into my new work environment. Although I faced difficulties at first due to language and cultural differences, the support of my colleagues and my own efforts helped me overcome them one by one. Especially when handling financial transactions for Belarus and other Eastern European countries, I felt that my experience and knowledge were truly valued. My relationship with Ethan deepened naturally. Every weekend, we would explore hidden gems in New York City together. Sometimes we would read his writing together. He taught me some English slang, and I taught him a few words in Russian. In the process of learning each other's culture and language, our hearts grew closer. 6 months after moving to America, Irina and Michael's wedding was held. It was a beautiful ceremony that blended American traditions with Western style. My mother and I sat in the front row, watching the happy bride. Irina, in her elegant white wedding dress, looked like a princess from a fairy tale. "My little girl is so beautiful," my mother said, tears in her eyes. Seeing my mother's health improve so dramatically, I was once again certain that this decision had been the right one. Looking around at the wedding, the room was filled with people who had become our new family: Michael's parents, his friends, and Ethan. Months ago, I couldn't have imagined this. During the reception, Ethan quietly came to my side. He took my hand gently and led me out to the garden. Under the night sky, he presented me with a small box. Inside was a beautiful, simple ring. "This isn't a proposal, yet. It's a promise. A promise that I want to spend much more time with you," Ethan said, his voice warm and sincere. I was too moved to speak. In this foreign land, I had received unexpected gifts: my mother's health, my sister's happiness, and now, love in my own life. As I slipped the promise ring onto my finger, I felt true happiness for the first time. Choosing my own happiness could be a blessing for the entire family. Sacrifice was no longer the only way to show love. The courage to find one's own joy was another form of it. Holding his hand tightly, I knew without a doubt, America was no longer a foreign land. 6 months later, one morning as I was getting ready for work, I received a text from Ethan. "Are you free tonight? There's something important I want to talk about." The short message made my heart pound. My relationship with Ethan had grown steadily over the past months, but he had never arranged to talk so formally. "Of course, I'm free. Is everything okay?" I texted back, a nervous flutter in my stomach. "Nothing bad, I promise. Just want to talk about the future. Meet me at 7 p.m. at the restaurant by the river." I was distracted all day. My colleagues noticed my absent-mindedness and even teased me, asking if I was about to get an engagement ring. Though I brushed it off with a smile, a part of me desperately hoped it was true. Ethan and I had known each other for almost a year. His kindness, intelligence, and passion for life had completely captivated me. With him, I found a sense of security and belonging I had never felt before. More importantly, he encouraged me to pursue my own dreams. I had started volunteering at a medical nonprofit, reconnecting with the medical dream I was forced to abandon as a youth. Ethan and I would explore every corner of New York together, from the bustling street markets of Queens to the quiet trails of upstate New York. Each trip revealed a new side of this city to me. Over time, America was no longer just a foreign country, it had truly become my home. After work, I went home to change. My mother immediately saw my mood. She was in much better health now than she had been in Belarus, with rosy cheeks and a vibrant energy. "You look particularly excited today." My mother smiled. "I'm meeting Ethan," I admitted shyly. "He said he has something important to discuss." "I have a feeling I know what that is," my mother winked. "Just remember, no matter what, listen to your heart." Wearing a carefully chosen dress, I arrived at the restaurant at exactly 7 p.m. Ethan was already there, wearing a formal suit I had never seen before. He looked exceptionally handsome. On the table was a single red rose and a small velvet box. Seeing the box, my heart nearly stopped. Was this really a proposal? "You look beautiful," Ethan said, standing up to pull out my chair. "Thank you for coming." Dinner proceeded smoothly. We talked about work, our families, and a movie we had recently seen, but I could sense Ethan was nervous. His eyes kept glancing at the small box. After dessert arrived, Ethan took a deep breath and picked up the box. "Katya, meeting you has been the best thing that ever happened to my life. Over this past year, I've become more and more certain that you are the person I want to spend the rest of my life with." He opened the box. Inside was a sparkling diamond ring. "Will you marry me?" Tears filled my eyes. I had been waiting for this moment, yet it felt like it had come too soon. An overwhelming joy filled my heart. My lips parted, ready to say yes, when my phone rang. It was Irina. Normally, I would have let it go to voicemail, but my intuition told me this call was important. "I'm so sorry. I have to take this," I told Ethan, feeling terrible. He nodded understandingly. "Katia?" Irina's voice was choked with sobs. "Mama." She collapsed. "We're at the hospital. The doctors say it's very serious." An icy chill shot down my spine. I quickly hung up. I looked at Ethan, speechless. "What is it?" he asked, his face etched with concern. "My mother," she collapsed. "She's in the hospital. It's bad," I stammered. Ethan was on his feet in an instant, putting the ring back in his pocket. "Let's go to the hospital. Your answer can wait. Don't worry." On the way to the hospital, Ethan held my hand tightly, silently giving me strength. But my mind was a mess, filled with worry and guilt. My mother's recent checkups had all been normal. Why the sudden decline? Had I been selfish, neglecting her health in the pursuit of my own happiness? The lights in the hospital corridor were bright and cold. Irina and Michael were there, their expressions making my heart sink further. "The doctors said it was heart failure," Irina sobbed. "They're working on her now." The next few hours were a nightmare. We waited anxiously in the waiting room. Ethan stayed by my side the whole time, but my thoughts drifted far away. If I lost my mother, how could I face it? Wasn't bringing her to America supposed to save her? Finally, the doctor came out, his face grave. "We've stabilized her for now, but she needs an emergency heart valve replacement surgery. Given her age and physical condition, it's very high risk." "What's the success rate?" I asked, my voice trembling. "About 60%, the doctor answered bluntly. "But without the surgery, her condition will only deteriorate." Looking at my mother lying in the ICU bed, hooked up to a web of tubes and monitors, I felt the world spin. The decision was too enormous, a matter of life and death. "I need some time to think," I told the doctor. Then I turned to Ethan. "I'm so sorry about tonight." He cut me off. "Don't even think about that. Your mother is the most important thing right now. I will support you no matter what you decide." On the way home, Ethan offered to stay with me, but I refused. I needed to be alone to think. Lying in bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. The risk of the surgery was so high, but without it, there was no hope, and the cost was a huge problem. Even with my job's insurance, a surgery of this magnitude would far exceed the coverage limits. What hurt me more was the deep-seated question in my heart. Was bringing my mother to America a mistake? Would she have been safer back in Belarus? Had my selfish decision caused her this pain? After a sleepless night, I went to the hospital early to see my mother. She was awake, weak, but lucid. "Katia," she said softly, "don't worry. I spoke with the doctor. I want the surgery." I took her hand. "Mama, the risk is too high. Maybe we should consider other options, maybe even go back to Belarus." My mother shook her head firmly. "Every day here has been the happiest of my life. Seeing you and Irina find love. I couldn't ask for more." Tears streamed down my face. "No, Mama, you're going to be okay. I'll find a way to pay for the surgery. I won't give up." After leaving her room, I immediately contacted banks about a loan, but because I had only been working in the US for a short time, the amount I was approved for was not nearly enough. I even considered selling our apartment in Minsk, but that would take time my mother didn't have. Just as I was sinking into despair, Ethan arrived at the hospital with unexpected news. I spoke with Michael. He said we found a solution. "Remember I told you about my friend who is a cardiac surgeon? He's willing to perform the surgery and has significantly reduced his fee. Also, Michael's father is on the hospital's board of directors. He's arranged for a special compassionate care fund to help." I stared at him, stunned. "How is this possible?" "In America, we take care of family, Katya," Ethan said gently. "You, Irina, and your mother. You're part of our family now. We won't let you face this alone." In that moment, I threw my arms around Ethan and wept. This kind of unconditional love and support was something I never imagined I would receive. The surgery was scheduled for a week later. During that time, I lived at the hospital to be with my mother. Ethan came every day, bringing food, books, and endless encouragement. Arena and Michael took turns sitting with her, ensuring she was never alone. The night before the surgery, after everyone had left, my mother took my hand, her eyes shining with wisdom. "Katia, no matter what happens tomorrow, I want you to know that coming to America was the best decision I ever made. Seeing you and Arena find your happiness is all I ever wanted." She paused. "Ethan proposed to you, didn't he?" My eyes widened. "How did you know?" My mother smiled. "A mother knows everything. Did you say yes?" I whispered, "Not yet." "Do it," my mother said with conviction. "He's a good man. He will make you happy. You deserve a life and happiness of your own." The next day, the surgery lasted 6 hours. It was the longest wait of my life. Ethan stayed by my side the entire time, holding my hand, offering silent strength. Finally, the surgeon emerged from the operating room, exhausted but smiling. "The surgery was a success. Your mother is a fighter. She's going to be okay." Hearing the news, my legs gave out. Thankfully, Ethan was there to catch me. Joy, relief, and overwhelming gratitude washed over me. That night, in a small garden near the hospital, I told Ethan my answer to his proposal. "My answer is yes, I will marry you." This crisis had made me understand how fragile life is and how precious love is. A brilliant smile lit up his face. He took out the ring again and carefully placed it on my finger. "I promise I will do everything in my power to make you happy," he said. "We'll face all of life's challenges together." Under the night sky, we made a promise to spend our lives together. In that moment, I finally understood. True home isn't a place on a map. It's a feeling of belonging, of being loved and accepted. From Minsk to New York, from doubt to acceptance, from responsibility to love, my journey had been full of unexpected turns. But every step had led me to a better place, a better life. Under the American sun, surrounded by the warmth of those I loved, I finally understood. Sometimes the greatest adventure is pursuing your own happiness, and the greatest courage is allowing yourself to be loved. After the joy of the wedding faded, our new life slowly settled into a normal rhythm. Ethan and I bought a small apartment on the Hudson River, not far from my mother and Arena's homes. The apartment wasn't large, but it had a balcony with a view of the river, where we could watch the glittering lights of the Manhattan skyline at night. "This is my dream home," I told Ethan the day we moved in. He held me close and said, "As long as I'm with you, anywhere is home." The first year of marriage was filled with adjustments and surprises. Two people from different cultural backgrounds living together was both sweet and challenging. Ethan had to get used to my direct, Belarusian way of expressing myself, while I had to learn to understand the more nuanced, indirect communication style common in America. In our culture, sometimes "it's fine" means it's not really fine, Ethan explained once. And when an American says something is not bad, it usually means they're very pleased. Such cultural differences often led to amusing misunderstandings, but they became a colorful part of our relationship. The communication after each misunderstanding brought us closer to each other's worlds. 3 months after our wedding, a career opportunity arose for me. A local university launched a special cross-cultural medical program for those with a passion for healthcare but without formal medical training. The 2-year program would certify graduates as medical interpreters and cultural liaisons, helping international patients navigate treatment in the country. "You should apply," Ethan encouraged me without hesitation. "This perfectly combines your passion and your expertise." After a competitive application process, I was accepted. This meant I had to continue my job in finance while spending evenings and weekends studying. The schedule was intense, but every time I did an internship at the hospital, helping a non-English speaking patient communicate with their doctor, all the hard work felt worthwhile. You know, a patient from Russia once told me, "You're not just translating the doctor's words, you're translating hope." When you're sick in a foreign country, nothing is more comforting than hearing your native language. Moments like these solidified my conviction that I had chosen the right path. Ethan's career also had new developments. He finally finished his first novel, a story that blended American folklore with a modern love story. Unexpectedly, the novel not only became popular in the United States, but was also translated into several languages, including Russian. "Imagine that," he said in amazement. "My book will be read in your home country. The world is so small." Seeing his joy at becoming a published author, I felt immensely happy. We were both becoming better people through each other's encouragement. My mother's health remained stable. She was no longer just a patient needing care, but had become an active part of the community. She joined a local international seniors club, participating in activities with retirees from all over the world. She even started learning English. Though her progress was slow, she enjoyed it. You know, yesterday I went to the market by myself and bargained with the vendors entirely in English, she told me proudly. They all said my accent was cute. Irina and Michael also entered a new phase of life. They were expecting a baby. When we heard the news, my mother and I burst into tears of joy. "I'm going to be an aunt." "I can't believe it," I said. "And I'm going to be a grandmother." My mother was overjoyed. Who would have thought I'd have a grandchild in America? During her pregnancy, Irina needed more companionship than ever. We took turns looking after her, accompanying her to checkups, and preparing baby supplies. The parenting traditions of America and Belarus often clashed in our conversations, leading to both laughter and thoughtful discussions. In Belarus, we believe a pregnant woman shouldn't watch horror movies, or the baby will be timid, my mother said seriously. In America, some old traditions say a pregnant woman shouldn't use scissors, or the baby will have a birth defect, Michael's mother replied with equal gravity. Irina just listened to these tales, smiling and shaking her head. "I think my child will be the most protected baby, blessed by two cultures." In the days of waiting for this new life, I often thought about my own future. Ethan and I had discussed having children but decided to wait another year or two, until my medical training was complete. "We have plenty of time," Ethan always reassured me. "Fulfill your career dream first." His understanding and support made me appreciate once again how lucky I was that fate had brought me to his side. 2 months before our first wedding anniversary, I received a special surprise. My volunteer application was accepted by a community health outreach program at a prestigious New York hospital. This was a part-time position, allowing me to use my spare time to engage in medical-related work, reconnecting with the medical dream I had left behind as a youth. "See?" Ethan said happily. "Life is always full of possibilities. Maybe you can truly revive your medical dream." His words made me think that perhaps it wasn't too late after all. On our first wedding anniversary, Ethan took me back to the Riverside restaurant where we had our first date. As we sat at the same table, everything around us seemed unchanged, but we both knew we were no longer the same people. "A year ago today, I almost proposed to you here," Ethan reminisced with a smile. "Then I was interrupted by a phone call. Fate has its own plans." I held his hand. That crisis made our bond even stronger. After dinner, we strolled along the riverbank. The evening breeze was gentle on our faces. The lights of the city reflected on the water's surface, like stars fallen to earth. "If you could go back in time, would you have chosen differently?" Ethan asked suddenly. I stopped and looked into his eyes seriously. "No. Even knowing all the hardships and uncertainties I would face, I would still choose to come to America, choose to meet you, choose all of this." He hugged me, smiling, and whispered in my ear, "I'm the lucky one. Your courage brought you to me." On our way home, I received a text from Irina. She had started having contractions and was on her way to the hospital. We immediately changed course and rushed there. When we arrived, Michael was pacing nervously outside the delivery room. My mother sat quietly beside him, murmuring prayers. "How is she?" I asked anxiously. "The doctor said everything is normal, but it will take some time," Michael replied, his voice trembling with excitement. For the next few hours, we waited outside the delivery room. Ethan bought coffee and sandwiches. My mother knitted a baby blanket, a new skill she had recently learned. At 3:17 a.m., a baby's cry pierced the hospital's silence. Shortly after, a nurse came out and announced, "It's a healthy baby boy. Mother and child are both doing well." When we were allowed into the room, I saw Irina, exhausted but blissfully happy, holding the tiny baby. She looked up at us, a radiant smile on her face. "Come meet your nephew," she said softly. "Mikhail." We decided on a name that is both Belarusian and has American roots. As I carefully held this new life, an indescribable feeling of emotion washed over me. This tiny life connected two cultures, two histories. It was a new beginning for our family. "Welcome to the world, Mikhail," I whispered. "You have a special family that spans half the globe, but it's filled with love." In that moment, standing in a New York hospital, holding my Belarusian-American nephew, I felt a profound sense of completeness. Life doesn't always go as planned, but often it gives us better surprises. When we got home in the early morning, The dawn light streamed into our living room. Ethan and I leaned back on the sofa, enjoying a moment of peace. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, seeing my thoughtful expression. "I'm thinking about the wonder of life," I replied. "I came to America to convince Irina not to marry an American man. Now, I've married an American man myself. My whole family is here, and I have a nephew born in this country." Ethan laughed. "Sometimes we think we are making decisions, but really the decisions are making us." He was right. Years ago, I came to America to stop my sister from getting married. Today, I had not only found my own true love, but had also forged a new identity and mission in this land. From doubt to understanding, from fear to courage, from responsibility to love, my heart had traveled a distance far greater than geography. "Thank you," I said, resting my head on Ethan's shoulder. "Thank me for what?" he asked, puzzled. "Thank you for showing me the possibilities of love. Thank you for supporting me in pursuing my dreams. Thank you for helping me redefine the word home." He gently kissed my forehead. "The honor is all mine." Outside the window, the New York sky gradually brightened. A new day was beginning in this once strange city, now filled with love and hope. Ethan, our family, and I would continue to write our story. A story of love that crossed cultures, a story of courage and growth, a story of finding where we truly belong. Use arrow up and arrow down to select a turn, enter to jump to it, and escape to return to the chat.